unless you know Vichochoro, because if you come all the way to Thika Road using the outer ring road, there is heavy traffic. If you're using Airport Road through the Eastern Bypass, there is traffic, but a little bit. It's moving, not compared to Thika Road. So that is the traffic situation, tributaries leading to Nairobi CBD, and all the other areas. As I look at it, wide traces of yellow and green, so that means there is not so much to report on other roads leading to town. The ones I've mentioned are the ones having heavy traffic. And looking at the weather situation this morning, let's take a look at what the Kenya Met Department is telling us this morning. And according to Kenya Met, from today all the way to the 29th of September, most parts of Kenya will be sunny and dry, but rainfall is expected in highlands, east and west of Rift Valley. That is as witnessed in the last 7 days. And also we have rainfall, sunny and dry, but rainfall is expected in highlands, east and west of Rift Valley, Lake Victoria Basin, and northwestern Kenya. In terms of temperature, highs of above 30 degrees Celsius expected in the coast, north and northwestern Kenya. So if you're planning to have a vacation, it is perfect weather for you, because temperatures are going to be quite high. No expectations of rainfall in those areas. So on low temperatures, less than 10 degrees Celsius expected in Central Highlands, Central Rift, and Mount Kilimanjaro region. In terms of winds, strong winds of 25 knots and above in coast, southeastern lowlands, northeastern and northwestern Kenya. So that is the weather situation from the 23rd, that is from today to the 29th of September. That is a period of 7 days. And last week, just a review of the last week, that was from the 15th to the 21st. Kitale recorded 76.4 millimeters in 7 days. Hottest temperatures were witnessed in Mandera. Coldest temperatures of 5 degrees Celsius were recorded in Nyahururu. So that is the weather situation, what you expect in the next 7 days. Right, now after informing you what to expect on the day in terms of weather and traffic, at this time I want us to take a look at, we'll be taking a short break, but after the break we'll be coming back with a conversation on money and relationships. But before that, just still in Kenyatta University, the premium university in East and Central Africa, we had the Trevor Noah Foundation that deals with leadership training of young minds. It had its camp in Kenyatta University yesterday, and empowering young minds from East Africa and from all over Africa. Young minds came together in Kenyatta University, and this is a leadership training that focused on empowering the young minds and helping them navigate the current market, or the current market, that is, in terms of profession, in terms of businesses, connections, mentorship, and everything in between. So that we shall be listening to that in a short while, and then after that we shall be having a conversation on money and relationships.
All protocol observed. Thank you for welcoming to your lovely and warm country. Thank you, everyone. In celebrating everyone in the room, and in lieu of what would be Heritage Week in South Africa this week, I'd like for us to do just a small activation, okay? So in South Africa, we have 11 official languages, Okay, so I'm gonna greet you all in that language that all 11, hopefully, and then you're gonna greet back. Is that okay, everyone? Okay, so the first language is Sesotho, so Dumelang, Dumelang, thank you. The second one is Setswana, Ashe. The third one is Sepedi, Kgotsong. The third one would be isiZulu, Sanbonani. The next one would be isiXhosa, Molweni. And then we have Afrikaans, so Goeiemorgen. And then we have Xitsonga, which is Abusheni. And then we have Chivenda, Limachironi. And then we have English, so good afternoon. And then we have, I think I'm missing a Lochani, Sindebele. Lochani? Lochani? Okay. And then I speak a little bit of French. So those who are French speakers, bonjour tout le monde. Thank you. Welcome all attendees, including our passionate participants, educators, change makers, esteemed partners, and distinguished guests. In particular, I would like to recognize the Vice Chancellor and Deputy Vice Chancellor, the team from the Kenyatta University, and everybody in the room here with us today. As indicated, my name is Sianda. I'm an impassioned change maker, but I'm also a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a friend. But most importantly, I'm a daughter of Africa. And what does that mean? It means I'm truly excited to be here. I'm excited for the conversations we're going to have and the impact this week is going to promise. I'm honored to be here representing the Trevor Noah Foundation. We're launching the 5th cohort of Education Changemakers in wholeness. However, it is the 2nd in East Africa. I stand here as a proud alumni of a leadership institute founded by a leader whose heart and distinct passion for development fuels his ventures for seeking opportunities and making inroads for Africa. So believe me when I say, I was once in your seat, and you guys are on an amazing ride. Okay. Just a bit of background, the Trevor Noah Foundation was founded in April of 2018, and the foundation is the greatest gift that Trevor Noah could have ever received and ever given back to us, education. Fueled by his love for education, for giving kids an opportunity, and for giving educators an opportunity, the foundation believes that education is the seed from which everything can grow. At the foundation, we're dedicated to increasing equitable access to quality education, and as such, in South Africa, we serve youth between the ages of 5 and 35. We have a varying array of interventions, including the Kulani Schools program, as well as the Faranani Infrastructure program, which sit in my realm of responsibility. And then we have the Education Changemakers program, which is what we're here for. The Education Changemakers program is a collaborative initiative between ourselves and the Regional Leadership Center in partner with Kenyatta University, supported by Oak Foundation. And since 2020, we've been driving the vision to invest in the next generation of African leaders. We've produced 235 alumni, including the first alumni to come out of East Africa last year. So congratulations for being here and forming part of the second pool of alumni. Our mission at the organization is to identify, support, facilitate the successful young leaders dedicated to transforming educational outcomes within their community. Educators are essential drivers of a high-quality education system, yet educators are often overlooked, undervalued, or underpaid. And I'm sure we can all agree that teaching is a complex and a tough job. As such, I want us to reflect on the best way we can serve humanity as we enter into this journey. At the core, we need to fundamentally consider design equity. So in every innovation that you guys are bringing, consider how equitable it can be in its design process. Consider mentorship and the importance of being mentored, receiving mentorship, and at a later stage, being a mentor to others. Consider opportunity parity amongst your learners. So how many of your learners can receive your intervention or receive your innovation and take it forward? And lastly, we need to drive opportunities that will ensure the multiplier effect, because we are investing in tomorrow today. I recently attended the launch of an AI innovation. It was a fully funded program ready to hit the world at large scale. And as I sat there, I realized the importance and relevance of this particular program. In a world that's ever evolving and propelling AI and its core function, programs like these are necessary to drive the human-centric approach to development. And here are a few reasons why. Women make up 49.7% of the world's population globally. And often, women are not thought about at the design point of implementation. It would be a generational disadvantage if we don't sit in this room and form part of a bigger vision to create programs that will benefit everyone. Secondly, unless we specifically carve out solutions with community in mind and with women in mind, women fall out of the pool of selection. So I'm very excited to see all the young women's faces in the room here today. As such, we need to be intentional in how we're curating women-engaged programming, and I'm happy to see that today. More than anything, we need to allow ourselves to leverage a narrative that is changing for learners and learner outcomes. And when large-scale AI programs hit the school, we'd have an educator like yourself to thank, because not only are you empowered, but you can help that learner meet AI at its best. Our vision for education changemakers is one of growth, transformation, and empowerment. And this region is rich in diversity and cultural heritage. You guys hold immense potential, and I see that our cohort is full of youth faces. That means what we're doing today is an intergenerational investment. I want to congratulate you all as I close, and I emphasize that this opportunity is necessary, but it deems the glass ceiling invincible. So nothing can stop you. And I want you to take this journey with both hands and remember that each day. You've been encouraged to network, you've been encouraged to create partnerships, and in this next few weeks, I hope that you do that. I encourage you to dream, to build, and to see the impossible through the Education Changemakers program. The journey you embark on today holds the potential for lasting change and impact in the lives of young people in Central and Eastern Africa. Thank you again, and congratulations on your successful selection, and we at the Trevor Noah Foundation wish you everything of the best. Here's to lifelong learning, and before I close, education? That's right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sianda, for those very insightful remarks, also for teaching us the South African languages, sharing great insights of the work that you continue to do at Trevor Noah Foundation, and a call to the cohort to continue coming up with programs that benefit everyone. I hope you got that. Did you? All right, let's appreciate her once again. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Professor Washeke Wanjohi, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Kenyatta University, for her remarks, and thereafter invite the next speaker. Welcome.
All right, welcome back. We are now on the lounge, and I promised you earlier that we'll be having a discussion surrounding money and relationships. Our guests are already in studio. Allow me to allow my guests to introduce themselves. Let me begin from my immediate right.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Ruth Mwaura. I am a BCom finance student for the year. I'm a finalist. I am also the vice president of the Finance Society of Kenyatta University, and I'm happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
My name is Fiona Witaba. I am a tax expert and a CPA and a former KU alumnus, and I'm delighted to be here.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Before we got live, we were talking about women winning big in various industries. It is something that I've seen, especially on this show. We have most women talking about finance, and it's a shift of mindset, considering in the past we had, that situation where you're given salary and then you present all your money to your husband for them to now manage it for you or give you now, tumia hii kufanya hii, tumia hii kufanya hii. And I think women are winning big. So let me begin with you, Ruth. You are in campus. We are having today a conversation on money and relationships, something that most people often just know about it, but don't really know what it entails. We just know that, money is important in a relationship. Conversations around money is important. When you're talking to your parents, especially if you're a young damsel, you're talking to your parents and then you're being told that, before you get married, you need to have conversations surrounding money, debts, and all that. From your perspective, as a person who is still in campus, relationships are in campus. So is money something that is really important in relationships? That is, be it the love relationships between a man and a woman, be it the general friendships that you have, the sisterhood friendships, or the family relationship.
Okay, thank you. Of course, money is important. It's a means to an end. To maintain some relationships, you need to go out, you need to do some stuff. So it's very important, even in romantic relationships. You can't just be sitting, talking. There's some things you need to do so that you bond more. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but generally money is important.
So according to love ni muhimu, lakini pia pesa lazima ikue.
Lazima ikue. Ataka ni kidogo, lakini ikue.
All right. So Fiona, I have seen on social media, especially with the young people, posting of how beautiful the relationship is. And often we never see transactions. For example, you will have someone post about their relationship, but then their money, how they spend their money is not something they're comfortable with. Why is that? Why is it that people are comfortable sharing about relationship, sharing about, I went to, a trip, tulienda road trip and tuko sherehe, but they're not comfortable posting about their finances?
That's because money is deeply personal. You see, the things that are closest to you, you're less likely to reveal them to the world. It's like how the same relationships you've talked about, people will always post about the good parts of their relationship and the beautiful parts of their life. But the parts when you're struggling, even with finances or with relationships, you never hear and you never see that in the public. That's why when something falls apart in the public domain, then it quickly trends because it's rare. Same thing as money. Money is deeply personal. No one will flaunt it publicly. You could attract the wrong crowd by flaunting your money publicly. Whether it's there or the lack of it, you'll still attract a certain kind of crowd that has an agenda. So matters such as money are matters that, according to me, are supposed to be handled in a very personal way, very discreet.
All right. Is it possible to achieve transparency in a relationship in terms of money?
It is. But there's a level of maturity that is needed. Because especially if in relationship, I think you mean maybe man to woman or romantic relationship, right? The moment the romantic relationship starts becoming serious, then that's the point when now we need to put our money thoughts on the table. But if you're still in the trial phase, then I don't think anyone needs to know anything about your finances. But the moment you're now transitioning to the next level, probably you're starting to talk about now marriage, going to the next level, starting a life together, then that's the point at which financial honesty is needed. Actually, there was an article I was reading written by Kenya Bankers Association where they said that 60% of couples that practice free communication, financial communication, experience less, turmoil in their relationship.
All right.
Yeah.
According to you, Ruth, is it possible to have that openness, especially when you're dealing with a romantic partner?
Yes, it is, but I do agree with Fiona. There's a certain level of maturity that is required. If you guys are mature enough to sit down, lay your cards on the table, say, this is what we have right now, this is what we'll do with what we have, then it's possible.
All right. And let's talk about the relationship, the family relationship. Um, Most of us don't disclose our earnings to our families. Most of them don't even know how we earn, probably because you want to avoid, black tax. How effective is this, or how should we handle family when it comes to knowing how much we earn or how much we have?
That's a tricky question because family tends to be entitled, as you said. But then also, when you're dealing with family, there's different aspects to it. If it's a spousal relationship, then I always advocate for we could both have our separate accounts, but then we have a joint account that is goal oriented, maybe for our children's school fees. And that in that aspect we can reveal what we have to one another. But then there's also a level of privacy, like I come back to, that you need to manage your money with. You can't tell your aunties and your uncles, this is how much I have, or you tell your friends. I don't see the reason. I don't understand why you do that. Maybe Ruth would help me to understand, because for me, I only feel like the person that you are one with, that is a person who you are obligated to some extent to reveal how much money you have or what your financial goals are, so that you can build together, and that is the end. So, but what is the end to me telling everyone how much money I have, unless it's for clout and it's my career, and part of my career is chasing clout, which is what we are seeing on social media. Then you're earning from talking about how much money you have. But if you're not even, there's no return, then
There's no
why?
need.
Yes.
All right. Now, let me come back to you. This generation of ours, the young people, the Gen Z and the young millennials. I don't know if that's a thing, the young millennials.
It is.
But the young generation, we have this social media pressure of of fitting in. Friends, something like Shere Friday or something like that. Like my friends are going, maybe we have even groups of going for trips. So you want to fit in, but then mfuko haialao. How do you deal with such friendships? Because I believe they're expensive relationships, and they are relationships that you can maintain. How do you deal with such relationships that are considered expensive?
Okay. That's a good question. I do relate to that because I do know people who have groups. They travel to Mombasa, they travel to Kisumu, they go out on weekends, and maybe my mfuko haikubali. So what I do, I know how to, is it compartmentalize relationships? I know these are my friends for this thing, these are my friends for studying, these are my friends for going out, and then I just najipanga, naanza kusave. Kama haiwezi.
Is it something easy to do as a young person?
It's
There's the
not.
pressure of posting and all that.
Yeah, it's not. It requires you to accept uko hapa, unajikubali.
All right. In the older generation, it may not be in terms of I want to fit in terms of posting, but the pressure is on. My friend amenunua shamba, mimi bado naishi kwa rental. So there is that pressure that you probably will build on your spouse. We need to do this. My friend amefanya hii, so pia mnafaa kufanya hii. So how do you deal with this pressure of wanting to, keep, kuna mahali unajieka and then you want to maintain that standard. So how do you manage this pressure of living? It's kind of living beyond your means, but then you want to fit in.
You remind me of a story of a lady who pressurized her boyfriend to buy a new iPhone on debt. So they took out a loan, they bought one of the latest iPhones, and they were jobless. So nowadays mobile loans, you can easily get a mobile loan. But then how is that a wise decision though, just to satisfy the status quo and show everyone that I have the latest iPhone? The pressure truly is there, but it should stem from when I'm investing in something, what am I looking forward to as the return on this investment? So it should come from a point of deep thought. Okay, I want to buy the latest clothes. Am I buying the latest clothes so that I can stand out and get an opportunity? That one has a return to it. But when it comes to just to flaunt and appear as the one who's ahead, um, such things are very trivial, because also there's the emotional aspect of humanity whereby this satisfies a deep part of you to feel like you belong with that crowd. But what really is your return on that investment is what I'd ask that person. Yes.
Sometimes it's about the decisions we make according to you as a person, not as a group.
Okay.
And let's bring this conversation of your network is your net worth. I had someone say that it's not your net worth as a person is your network. Opposite from your network is your net worth. I don't know if that makes sense. That what you bring to the table as a person determines the kind of network you're having. Because you might have a contact list of 300 people, 100 of them are CEOs, 50 of them are MDs. You have these big names in your contact list. But then you have nothing to talk about because there's nothing you bring on the table for that matter. So in terms of wanting to maintain friendships, maybe you went to a conference, because I've seen this with most motivation speakers. They're telling you go to that conference, meet people, talk to them and all that. But then if you see their lifestyle, it's not the lifestyle you can live. So there's nothing in common between you two. So how effective or how practical is the phrase, your network is your net worth?
I'll answer that. I'll answer that from my opinion. You know how they say birds of a feather flock together? So by the time I've gone to this conference, and you've also gone to that conference as whoever you are, in an aspect we are birds of a feather because we have flocked together to the same place. But now once you get there, how do you then break the barrier to be able to create the network, connect with the other person? And the simple way that I do it is I found this to be very effective, is I offer value first. It doesn't matter, you could be Vusi Thembekwayo, you could be some billionaire, but there's always something someone needs. And if you can identify that this thing is something that this person needs, sometimes it's just a word of knowledge. And in most of these conferences, like the ones I like to attend, are ones where I sit with people who are ahead of me. More than half of them are ahead of me. So I'll always find myself in a position where there's nothing that I feel I have that they need. But once you start chatting with someone, and that's the first step, the step of courage, to just walk up to this grander than life person and pull out your hand so that they can shake it and introduce yourself with a confident smile. Then as you're talking, you add value. Your aim as you're talking is to give this person value. But how can you give them value if you don't have confidence in yourself? So the first step, even before you take the courageous step of going forward to meet new people, as I look at it, is working from within, working on yourself. What are your values? What are the things that propel you? Then finding people that you now relate with in terms of that aspect. Birds of a feather flock together with the birds of your feather. And then after you've flocked together, offer value. But then you see also, it doesn't always have to be upwards. Some networking, how I look at it is that it can be peer-to-peer. I can network with people on my same level. There's value I can offer there. I can network with people above me. There's value I can offer there. Because networking, how Fiona interprets it, is that networking is offering value. Because the moment you offer value, you will receive value back. You can also network with people below you. You can mentor people, and I do that as well. So when you mentor people below you, there's a pressure that comes from under you that forces you to keep rising, because someone somewhere is also looking up to you, needing you to pour into them. So my cup must be constantly full so that I can pour into them. And all that is part of networking. And so full circle is having a network that has 3 dimensions: upwards, peer-to-peer, downwards.
That is very brilliant. Offering worth to get the network. From your perspective, how is that effective? Your network is your net worth.
So recently, I attended a coffee date organized by Doty and Associates, and it had a lot of big people, CPAs, FCPAs, CSEs, just big people. I know that I am not at their level. I am a bit lower, but I'm getting there. So what I do, I observe, I listen to the people first, and then after the meeting, I've already identified who I want to talk to. So when I talk to them, I know what I'm going to say. I know how to handle a conversation with them based on what I already know. Yeah, so for me, I observe until I get to the top.
Have you found yourself in a situation where um, you have someone who you think probably this person I might be able to gain from them, but then you look at yourself inward and you're like, what will I offer? Have you found yourself in that situation?
I think I have.
How did you handle it?
I know what I do. I najipea moral. I just go and say I'm a student leader. I just go and say I am a student leader. This is what I do. I talk to people. I do this. I do that. That's what I have to offer.
Right. Have you find yourself in the same situation where
Yes,
you're
I
meeting
have.
someone and you feel like, okay, this one?
Yes, I have. There'll always be people better than you. You'll always be better than some people. And for me, it stems from how I handle such situations, stems from my identity, who I am. So first of all, for me, I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. So that fuels a lot of my confidence, but also the daily work that you put into yourself. Always learning something new in your areas of interest. Always pouring into your cup, like I keep saying. So that when you find yourself in front of people that you perceive to be better than you, first of all, no one has it all figured out. Even that person that you look at and you are like, you are goals and you are the gold standard. Even that person still has struggles and things that they're trying to figure out. So just looking at human beings as human beings as well. You may be 10 steps ahead because you've probably entered rooms that I just dream of entering at this point. But what's our common point of connection? We are human beings. So if I can establish a connection with you from a human being standpoint, because you know what, as human beings, we just want to connect. So if we can connect on a common ground, then we can establish the network. Even right now speaking to you, the more we talk, the more we will connect based on the common grounds that we are establishing. And for us, since we are women, we can start from women things, and then we can progress to career things, and we can advance further. Then you just build on the human connection. That's how I approach networking.
I find it a little hard, especially if you're a student or you're still in school, because most of the time you get to a room and people are introducing themselves. I'm so and so, CEO, so and so. And then when you're like, okay, should I say I'm a student? You're like, no, I shouldn't say I'm a student. How do you handle that situation?
Why not? Okay. Why not? That is who you are. Why don't you own it and have it with confidence? There's this gentleman called Benihin Walubengo. I don't know if you know him. So recently, I was so surprised to find out that he is in his mid-20s.
And he's married.
He's married?
Yeah.
I did not even know that. You're telling me, but I don't know why you know that piece of
I know him
information.
because of his, he does more of public speaking.
Okay, no, I know you know him, but the married part is, I was wondering why you know that part, but it's all good, it's all good. So if I interacted with Walubengo recently, he was preaching at our church at Sitam, and I was so shocked at the wealth of wisdom that he has, even at a close range. He exudes confidence, and that is what I think will separate you from the crowd. You know, the way I keep referring to the Bible because it's a pillar for me. You know, the way Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, if you know that story, were found to be 10 times better than their peers. There's a confidence that you need to always pour into yourself. And if God is your source, it's easier for you. I have found that to be easier. But the moment you've established who you are, I don't think I'd be scared. Even if I met Trump right now, the Potters, or if I met Ruto right now, I don't think I'd tremble in their presence. I'd respect and honor them because respect is due to them. But I wouldn't tremble at their presence because I also have value in me. So this is, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a work of daily, constantly just pouring into yourself so that you become better with each season.
All right. Thank you. Now, Ruth, let me come back to you. A conversation that is very, 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 very critical. You're in social media, often, so you understand the current phrase that is trending, Maridu Bamba Mafala. I know you're aware of that. And we have a case where women are being told, if you earn more than your partner, you'll probably scare them. And you're told that, men feel intimidated if you earn more than them. So how does it work? Do you believe in the 50-50 narrative, or supporting your partner as a woman? Supporting your partner when they are low, because probably you're building an empire together. What's your opinion on the same?
My opinion, in life, there are high moments and there are low moments. Your man today could be working and the next day he's fired. Does it mean you'll not support the man? You have to be a person who can adapt. You're flexible. When life gets to the low points, you can compromise to accommodate your partner. Yeah, so I do believe in the 50-50 narrative, but also the 70-30, also the 20-80, also the 10-90, depending on where life has you. Yeah.
All right. So now what's your take on 50-50?
50-50, my personal opinion is that essentially the man is the provider. That's my personal opinion. So even as we enter into the relationship, that needs to be something that maybe we agree upon, the two of us. And if we've agreed on that, then will there be times when we are having down times? Yes. So what happens at those times? Then at that time we can go 50-50. But there's something that providing does to a man. Of course, men are different. There's a wide range of men. And the women have also a wider range even, because we've been so empowered. There's a generation that was so catered for as women and as girls growing up. All the talks in primary school will be to girls. I don't think I ever saw a talk where boys are being called when I was growing up in primary school. It was always girls. We're having a talk for girls, or now everyone. So girls started being empowered from a very young age. So now at this age where we are, with me as a young millennial and Gen Zs, we are at an age where the men that are in our generation are very different. They are intimidated by us. Why? Because we're not like their mothers. We actually talk and we disagree, and we have more money than they do. And even in the traffic jam, the big cars, the window will roll down and it's a woman. And that car, she bought it herself from her own money. More women than there was back in the day. So there's, of course, the shift has already happened. So now what do we do with the shift? Because we kept saying gender is equal and equality. But there's also aspects of equality that will affect the foundations. According to me, if I decide as a woman today I'm out earning my husband, and if I decide, I'm not out earning my husband, but if I decide I'm out earning him, or if it happens that I am out earning him right now, and we are faced with bills, do I have the grace to allow him to lead? Or will I feel I'm earning double of what you're earning, I can support this entire family? There's a grace that needs to come into how we are handling things as women now, because we're the ones who have been bolstered and empowered. The men are the ones who have been neglected. So the mind that the men have is the mind from 20 years ago. But the mind that we women have is the mind from this year and last year, and how we are pouring into one another and giving one another opportunities. So there's a grace that needs to come with how you're handling these things. And it's very personal. Like what Ruth has said, she believes in 50-50, she believes in 70-30, and also 90-10. It depends on what your agreement is with the other person. But I also feel like there's a grace that needs to come with it, a gentleness with one another. And that's why, you see, the first question you asked me, the first question was, what do you say about flaunting in public? That's why it's very dangerous when you start to flaunt in public. And there's a narrative right now going on that marriage hubamba mafala. And there's also another one for a certain celebrity. I won't get into it, but then her and the husband, she's out earning the husband, and people can now see it, and it's public, and that's why there's a level of privacy that needs to come with handling affairs of finances, especially between couples. Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about I don't know how I'll call it, but it's sort of paying as compensation for not probably having time for someone. This especially happens in family setup where the mom and the dad are busy. So the children, they'll probably be taken to boarding schools and then given huge sums of pocket money to compensate for, the care that is supposed to be given to them. Do you think this money culture is really shifting the personal relationships that we should be having, or disintegrating the ties that we have within the family? Because I've seen this also in relationships where a man will abandon the wife, and then when the wife asks, "I never see you at home," and then anaulizwa, "Do you lack anything?" Do you think this love for money and compensation is like leading us astray in terms of human relationships?
Trust me, I'm also trying to figure that one out, but it definitely is. Because essentially, what the child wants, and I'm saying this because I am a mother, the child wants you. You can buy them all the toys in the world and take them to all the trips. But if they don't have you, they will not be happy. They will be happy in the moment, but long term, what is that doing to your relationship? There's a balance that needs to come with it. And this is relevant to people from my generation and from my age group, where we are now juggling parenting, some of us marriage, some of us work, career. So there's a fine balance that needs to come into play. And the balance is born from trial and error. No one can scare me that they figured everything out. Even looking at my parents right now, shout out to Fiona's parents, you guys are the best. But they're still trying to figure things out. And you can see the grace with which they are learning. And you finally realize, oh, my parents are also people. All along I thought they were Superman and Superwoman. I can see them fumble, I can see them learn, I can see them grow. Same thing to us. We are still trying to figure everything out. So why put so much pressure on yourself? Just find the balance that works for you and your own. But I know ideally, and it's always going to be at the back of my mind, my children want me. They don't want the money or the trips or the toys. They want me. So me must be in the mix of my plans for them. Yes.
All right. Ruth, have you ever felt like the affection was compensated with money at any point in your life?
No, I have the best parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now let's talk something else. This breeds scarcity mindset, because most of the time we are told growing up, not in all family setups, because in other families you'll have money conversations on the table. You're having dinner and then you're being talked about, how did you handle your pocket money? Money conversations. And then it makes you know that money conversations are normal. And there are other situations where you grow up being told, tumia pesa vizuri. So you grow knowing that I need to use money vizuri. And then you grow up judging people for using money. For example, you'd go to a restaurant, upate chai inauzwa 1,000 bob, and you're like, hey, 1,000 bob. So this is a conversation about money from the young age. How effective is it for you, depending on the side that you got it, whether it's from tumia pesa vizuri or you just know nikitumia kuna zingine. how did as money conversations affected your spending habits as a person?
Last week, I went home and I had a conversation with my mom. She had sent me money for last week. So when I went home, she was asking me, how did you use it? What do you have left? So I think that conversation made me realize the conversation has been happening over and over. So it helps me realize the importance of how I spend based on what I have. So someone may be given 10k and hiyo chai ya 1k si pesa mingi kwake, but kwangu 1k ni pesa mingi sana kwa chai. So that conversation, it opens you up on how to use your money. Yeah, it's a good conversation to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fiona, how should these conversations be happening, and probably from what age? I saw a video, I think it was last week, of a mom when the daughter, I think, is 7, she's 7 years old, and she was giving her money, and then anamwambia she has a wallet, and the wallet has compartments, this is for saving, this is for, so how should these money conversations be happening, especially from a young age, growing up, because habits are built from the young age? How should this be happening?
In the video that you saw, how old was the daughter?
I think 7, if not 6.
I think as soon as that child can figure things out, like when I want to take a wee, a number 1, then I go to the washroom and I take a number 1. When I want to eat, I tell mommy, I'm hungry. I think as soon as they can figure that out, we need to start teaching them about money in tiny little bits. How can that be done? A good example, and this one I've already done with my 3-year-old, is just for her to know that this is not a piece of paper. This is something that has value. And this green one has more value than this blue one, which has more value than this brown one, less brown one. Okay? So now that's a foundation. So now she's looking at this thing differently. Oh, there's levels to this thing. Now she's understanding money has levels. Okay, then we get to the next level. We go to church. Mommy, here's your offering. Here's your 20 shillings. Here's your, I don't give beyond 20 shillings. I'm sorry. Sorry, rich people. Rich people, you have to excuse me. So here's your 20 shillings. When the offering basket comes, put it in. Then she'll put it in, and I told her, you put what in? My offering. Okay, now she's understanding there's different kinds of money. There's money that we'll go to the shop and buy candy, and there's money that we will give to the offering, and they have different roles. And she's not yet even started, okay, she's almost starting, but she's not yet started going to school. So you see, those are foundational aspects, and that need to be enforced at the very earliest level, because we lacked that. See how we have suffered. We lacked that foundational lesson of money. But I think for me, my dad, I tried, because he'd give us pocket money. I have an elder sister, and I have a younger brother and sister who are twins. So he'd give my elder sister more money, then I'd get slightly less than her, then they'd get less than me. Then after about a week or 2, he'd ask us, so how did you spend your money? And from that, we learned that my brother always saved all his money. And up to today, he's very good at saving money. He's very good at hoarding money to use for a purpose. And yet he was the youngest. But you see, we could learn from that early age from him. And it really helped us to understand that this money is something we can control. The moment I get it, what I need to build on it is discipline. Where do I want to channel it? Because how I look at money is that money is all about how you make it, how you retain it, and then how you grow it. If you don't know how to make it, you can't retain it. If you don't know how to retain it, you can't grow it. If you don't know how to grow it, how can you build wealth? And that needs to start from the basic foundation. If you walk to any bookshop, there are books about money for children. But they say about Africans, if you want to hide anything from Africans, keep it in a book. Who's heard of that one before? We are trying to reverse that. Yeah, more people, more authors should write books about money. Custom made for 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and make it colorful and make it appealing so that they can begin to learn. So that we can close this gap that is making all of us to suffer. You have the degree, you have the skills, you don't have the money. But they told you if you study hard and pass your exams and get the job, you'll have money. But you don't know how to save. All your money, you wear your money. Or you eat all your money. Or drink it worse. So we need these foundations laid early. Yes.
All right, I love that. That you are told to go to high school or campus to get money. I had someone say that your degree means you have beaten illiteracy, not poverty.
Exactly, 100%.
All right, now as we bring this to an end, there's something we can't talk about money and relationships without mentioning the akisi unisaidie thao mbili nitakurudishia that we get from friends and how this affects us. I've had several people say that your friends or your family's emergency is not your emergency. How do you deal with this? Let me begin from you, Ruth. How do you deal with this? In as you want to maintain relationships, utaki kuambiwa we ni fake friend, but then you have a friend who is asking for money. Probably you want to do with it something else. And I've had several guests here saying that sometimes that loan that you give your friend haina interest, so it's definitely not a profitable thing that you're doing. You might have used it to do a different thing. That is, if you don't have much of disposable income. How do you deal with friends and family? Nisaidie thao mbili nitakurudishia, and then probably they won't return, or the good ones return it.
I was just about to say that not only does it not give interest, haitarudi. So how I deal with that, the first time I'll give it to you and observe, utarudisha ama utarudisha. If you don't return it, you'll definitely not borrow me again. So I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt. If it's something affordable, if it's something I can give. If not, pole sana.
Hakuna
Next
marafiki
time.
kwa pesa.
Hakuna. Iko, but si pesa mingi.
All right. Your take?
For me, I'd say, this is what I'll say. Borrowing is part of life. At some point, probably you had to borrow, even if it was a bank. You borrowed. But now, are you borrowing with a plan? Okay. Is this person borrowing me money because they're living beyond their means? Are they borrowing me money to go on a vacation? I will not give it to you. Sorry. If you want to go on a vacation, please plan for your vacation. If you're borrowing me money because you have someone who is sick in hospital, that one has a purpose. If I have it, I will lend that one. But you see, the rule of the thumb is, if you lend someone money, and especially our friends, our family, lend someone money, the money that you're comfortable losing. If I give you 200,000, if I lose it, will it affect my finances? No. If not, fine. If yes, I should think twice. What is your ability to pay it back? Do you have too many debts? Are you known for omba? Wewe kila mahali nipe. Then if that is the case, then why even lend to this person? Okay. If you're borrowing me because you have ukona msiba or something. Msiba is a Luya word. That one you'll understand tomorrow. So if you're borrowing because you have something like that, then I will lend it to you because you are in need. So what is the reason and how much am I comfortable losing?
All right.
Yes.
That is brilliant. How much are you comfortable losing? Now, if you were to advise any 30 under 30, let's talk about under 30. Consider that to be a young person. Well, let's give it 35. 35s are still called youths in this.
Yes, they are.
Yes. So under 35, or generally a young person, if you were to advise them, someone who probably wants to fit in, be it easy, usijui unaekwa kwa rurashu, usijui unaekwa kwa groups za rusi, or someone who wants to get in a relationship, a serious relationship, sees is a Gen Z, or generally someone who wants to balance their finances and have a breakthrough. What advice would you give them?
The first thing would be to accept where you are. Accept your financial situation, accept your family background, ukisha, oh, when you accept everything, everything will just be easy for you. Kama ni sherehe huwezi make umekubali ni sawa. Just accept and move on. That's my advice. Yeah.
All right, Fiona.
For me, I'll go beyond accepting. I'll say financial discipline. You know, there's the rule, the 50-30-20 rule. Do you know it? Where it says that of the money that you make, 50% should go to needs, 30% should go to wants. So you should have a budget for enjoyment. And then 20% should go to investments or savings. If you're a Christian, you can sneak in a 10% to go to tithe. So, do I have the discipline to actually follow that? Now that I've decided this is how it goes, then financial discipline. I think that's the whole kicker. If I'm disciplined enough to not spend all my money, I know that I have sense enough to know that I must retain some, I must invest some, I must have an emergency fund. First of all, I conquer debt. Then I have an emergency fund that can run me for 8 months. Then I start looking at which business can I start? Which risky investment can I make? Like shares. If not shares, then I go beyond that and open a business. Because now I have a cushion. Now I can begin to not gamble, but make informed data-based decisions based on whatever is the surplus. But do I have the financial discipline from the beginning to create that structure, then follow through?
All right. Thank you so much. Now this will serve as our final remarks. Have you made a financial mistake before? If yes, how did you come over it?
I have. There was something called brand influence. It's one of these pyramid schemes that are advertised everywhere. I invested my money there. That was a mistake. I overcame it. Right now, if someone sends me anything, I do my due diligence. I don't just throw money anywhere. Yeah, that's how I overcame it.
Umesema maneno ya risk taking kidogo.
Kidogo hapana. Lazima to confirm.
All right, Fiona.
I think we've all been victims of, it's like a stage of, a rite of passage in Nairobi. Okay, financial mistake. Yes. There was a time I was scrolling through social media and I saw this toy. I don't know how many of you have seen this toy. It's called a dancing cactus. Oh, you've all seen it. Me too. So I decided, wow, I've never seen this thing before. I need to buy it and begin to sell it to my circles. So I bought 2 boxes. Needless to say, those boxes are still at home. If anyone wants a dancing cactus toy, please reach out to me. That was a bad financial decision. I did not do enough research. Okay, given I was younger, but I still needed to have done more research, found out what is the market, is the market ready for this? How will I distribute this dancing cactus toy after I have it? So I gave some of them to my nieces and nephews, and then now I still have almost 2 full boxes. Yeah, so that was a bad one. That was a mistake. Yeah.
All right. But those recover.
But now, you see, it makes you cautious. It makes you cautious. Now, just because it worked for that person does not mean it will work for me. There's a moat. Let me just mention moat. Moat is the method that personal equity experts use to ascertain whether a business idea will work. So there's M stands for margin. If the business idea will give you a margin of above 15%, and here we are all finance experts, so you know what margin is. But margin is basically sales minus your expense. So if it will give me a profit margin of about 15% and above, then it has ticked one box. Then there's O. O is operations. Can this business run itself? Will I be left fixed in one place as a self-employed person? If I fall sick, will the business die with my sickness? So you need to ascertain that the operations are scalable. And then there's A. What is the advantage that you have? Maybe kwetu tuko na a fleet of vehicles. So if I start a delivery business, then it can work for me. It can't work for you maybe because what you have in your place is something else. Or maybe you have 10 years experience in, like right now you're building your skills in journalism. So out there you'll have an advantage even after you finished school. That's something that can tick that box when you're looking at which business idea will work. Then we have T. That is the total convertible market. So, is the market ready for this thing? Will people buy it? And this one can't be emotional. It has to be data driven. Because if I am in love with this business, maybe I love Peruvian hair. And I'm like, people will love Peruvian hair if I buy it and bring it to Kenya. But then you buy it and it's stuck in your house. So what is the total convertible market? What does the data say? That's where you spend to get research that has been done by bodies like KNBS or any other body. Then you get to ascertain that this business idea will actually work.
All right. That is brilliant advice. Thank you so much, ladies, for making time for us this morning. Naambiwa muda wetu umetupa kisogo. That has been CPA Fiona Witaba, professional who makes tax and finances easily digestible for anyone. Like Anaika Finance in a layman's language. Thank you so much for your time. And Ruth Maura, thank you so much for your time, giving us authentic personal insights on what really is happening on ground. Thank you so much. Now that has been a conversation on money and relationships, and especially this is to help you, especially the young people, know how to better yourself, make better financial decisions when it comes to your interaction. So coming up next is the newspaper review. We'll be joined by very own Ojuang Mariam. Stay tuned.
Through the Regional Leadership Center, East Africa and Kenyatta University, the second cohort of the Education Changemakers program was launched, which has brought together 69 young leaders from different East African countries. One after the other, the educators showcased their tribes and communities through songs and dances, with the South Sudan and Somalia representatives highlighting the event. Vice-Chancellor Professor Paul K. Wainaina and Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Education Professor Washeke Wanjohi graced the event, where they lauded RLC for the milestone it's achieving in bringing great minds from East Africa to empower them on student leadership and in shaping tomorrow's education.
We especially encourage application from rural and economically disadvantaged leaders, those with disabilities, and other minority groups. Your voices are vital, and this program is designed to amplify them. We want to give you a chance to share what you have been thinking about, how to actually help your continent, if not the whole globe.
The program, which has been backed by the Trevor Noah Foundation in partnership with the Regional Leadership Center East Africa, is expected to empower the 69 young leaders chosen from different countries to be impactful leaders in the society and also in their different countries. According to Director Regional Leadership George Kosimbei, the program has so far bared fruits.
And I'm sure you can see your flag, right? Yeah, so we are only missing Eritrea because of the country dynamics, but all in all, we are really, really excited to have all of you, and we thank God for the journey masses. Yeah, so the Education Changemakers Cohort 2, which we are launching today, is actually a 28-day training where we anticipate that on the 17th, God willing, we will be able to convene here for the commencement ceremony.
Trevor Noah Foundation representatives, led by Special Projects and Partnerships Manager Mzwandile Msimanga and Sianda Saba, commended KU for being the host, stating that the initiative is expected to nurture young leaders to improve their leadership skills.
To our second cohort of Education Changemakers, you are the reason for us to gather here today. That our journey is not just about efforts, but it's about the doors that were opened along the way.
The students who will be part of this could not hide their joy as they kickstart the program. After the 4 weeks learning period, this will mark the completion of the second cohort Education Change Makers sessions, highlighting the continued support of young leadership by Kenyatta University as an institution. Caroline Kimwele for KU TV.
This year's celebration of the International Day of University Sports, held at Kenyatta University, were themed Safeguarding in University Sports, Advancing Safe, Inclusive and Development-Driven Athletes. The event was officially opened by the Kenyatta University Vice-Chancellor Professor Paul Wenaina, represented by Professor Bonaventure Okello. The Vice-Chancellor emphasized the need for universities to provide safe spaces for students who are actively involved in sports.
1. It reminds us that sport must remain a safe space, free from harassment, violence, discrimination, and exploitation. 2. It emphasizes inclusivity, ensuring that men, women, and persons with disabilities participate equally in sport.
Reports of abuse and harassment among athletes have been on the rise in recent years, with sports advocates noting that incidents of abuse against female athletes and those with disabilities are increasing due to victims remaining silent when they are harassed.
East Africa, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, paints a troubling picture. The prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence in sports is alarmingly high, at 62% across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. In Kenya, it is even worse because in 2022 it was at 43, but in 2024-2025 our data shows that it was at staggering 69% of women who reported experiencing sexual and gender-based violence.
A call has now been made, encouraging student athletes to speak up when they face abuse, while stakeholders and advocates in the sports sector are being urged to ensure inclusivity and safety for all athletes.
This year's theme, Safeguarding in University Sports, Advancing Safe, Inclusive and Development-Driven Athletes, invites us to look beyond the scoreboard. It challenges us to ask, are our sporting spaces safe? Do they empower both men and women equally? Do they foster respect, inclusion, and community growth? The answers to these questions matter because sport is more than competition. It is education, it is character building, and it is a powerful tool for social transformation.
The celebrations have showcased the commitment of universities and stakeholders in the sports arena to ensure a safe environment for student athletes, the goal being not only to achieve great sporting results, but also to safeguard the welfare and security of students involved in sports during their time at the university. Blue Smile Hassan, KUTV.
Role of sport in shaping the future of our youth, our universities, and indeed our society. This year's theme, Safeguarding in University Sports, Advancing Safe, Inclusive and Development-Driven Athletes, invites us to look beyond the scoreboard. It challenges us to ask, are our sporting spaces safe? Do they empower both men and women equally? Do they foster respect, inclusion, and community growth? The answers to these questions matter because sport is more than competition. It is education, it is character building, and it is a powerful tool for social transformation. At Kenyatta University, we believe universities must lead the way in ensuring that every student athlete has the opportunity to play, to grow, and to contribute without fear of exclusion, abuse, or neglect. This vision is closely aligned with UNESCO's commitment to advancing the Sustainable Development Goals through sport, whether it is good health, quality education, gender equality, or peace and partnership. Our celebration also comes at a very historic time. The East African region is preparing to co-host the AFCON 2027 tournament. This milestone is more than a football event. It is a reminder that Africa's sporting future depends on how well we nurture athletes at the grassroots, in schools, and in universities. I take this opportunity to thank our partners, UNESCO, NATCOM, Special Olympics of Kenya, our Vice Chancellor, and university leadership, the faculty, and of course, our energetic students for making this day possible. Your collaboration demonstrates that safeguarding sport is not the duty of one institution alone, but a shared responsibility. As you participate in today's panel discussions and inclusive sporting activities in the field, I encourage you to deeply share openly and reflect on how each of us can contribute to making sport safe, inclusive, and truly developmental. With those words, I once again welcome you warmly to KU, and may this celebration inspire us all to champion a sporting culture that uplifts, protects, and unites. Thank you and karibuni sana.
In football, although they are called indomitable lion, but of recent they seems to be losing track of their records anyway. But they are still doing well, and we hope that the upcoming AFCON, Madam Chair mentioned, will be another opportunity to see them, including Kenya. So let me build on the protocol that has been established and to really thank the leadership of KU for hosting us for this International Day of Sport, University Sport. So esteemed guests, esteemed lecturers, faculty members, students, ladies and gentlemen, the event that we are sharing today is really in line with the UNESCO appreciation of the day itself, a collaboration with its establishment back in 2015 has been a collaboration between the International Federation of Universities and UNESCO, and we have had in a very short and challenging time approached our GA partners from KU to be able to host us. And the simple fact of us being here today means that they have really taken up the challenge, and for us to all be here to champion this International Day. So I want really to appreciate. It has been some sleepless day and especially nights to make it happen. We have been on in some Zoom calls very late, and I've really enjoyed the process that has led us to be here today. So today we gather to celebrate the International Day of University Sport. And as we do that, we reaffirm our collective belief in the transformative power of sport within higher education. This day is not merely symbolic. It is a call to action, a reminder of the critical role university play in sharing not only in shaping not only minds, but also character, leadership, and communities. UNESCO remains deeply committed to promoting sport and quality physical education as essential pillars of inclusive, equitable, and holistic education. Sport is not a luxury. It is a right, and a fundamental right for that matter. It fosters resilience, teamwork, discipline, and respect, values that are indispensable for academic excellence and personal growth. In classroom and in playing fields, students learn to lead, to collaborate, and to persevere. University sport is a unique platform where intellectual pursuit meets physical endeavor for excellence to thrive. It is there that we see the convergence of knowledge and action, where students are empowered to become agents of change. By integrating sports into academic fabric, universities can cultivate environments that nurture well-rooted individuals prepared to tackle the challenge of our time. Indeed, this day is also an opportunity to remind ourselves that sport holds transformative power to advance gender equality, especially within university campuses where young women and girls are shaping their future. By promoting inclusive access to sport, not only as athletes, but also as students, academics, and leaders, institutions can foster environment where women thrive physically, intellectually, and socially. However, this progress hinges on the unwavering commitment to safeguarding standards that protects all participants from abuse, discrimination, and exclusion. Upholding these standards ensures that sport remains a safe and empowering space where women and girls can confidently pursue excellence and leadership. When university champions gender equality and robust safeguarding in sport, they inculcate a culture of respect, resilience, and opportunity, laying the foundation for a more just, inclusive, and prosperous society. Therefore, by putting sport at the heart of dialogue between teachers and students, the International Day of University Sports, celebrated since 2015 by UNESCO and the International University Sports Federation, aims to promote these values among young adults and through them to society as a whole. Dialogue, self-respect, and respect of others, fair play, and pursuit of excellence are all framing principles of student training. Education and sport need to be at the core of our society, and this day provide a forum to highlight the social role of university and their curricula by making sport available to all and encouraging people to exercise regularly. Besides, sport was recognized by the United Nations as an enabler and an accelerator for sustainable development. But what does it mean concretely for the enhancement of quality education? How does it translate into the promotion of health and well-being? How does it contribute to driving social inclusion and to strengthening of community bonds? How does it help achieving gender equality, as my previous speaker said? Indeed, how do we ensure that university is leveled as the natural ground field for attracting, nurturing, and revealing more of the like of Tegla Lorupe, Faith Kipyegon, or even Eliud Kipchoge? How do we harness the education system and notably academic institutions to serve as laboratory for assessing conditions for thriving national and regional sport ecosystem? How do we measure the contribution of sport to the socio-economic development of a country in the first place? How do we inspire the student and empower them to lead initiatives that use sport to build more just, inclusive, and sustainable societies. A more basic question, is there any correlation between the practice of sport activity and academic excellence? These are certainly many questions, yet not exhaustive, and where better than in an academic institution than to raise them, because we have everything it takes to address them in the academic setting. And it's even more interesting to raise them here today at KU, knowing that the institution is aspiring to be a UNESCO chair in sport. So even more to consider this point and to see how hopefully that the recognition as UNESCO chair is firm. How do you take forward this important agenda? Universities has hub for knowledge generation, innovation, and leadership can provide evidence that investment in sport translate into tangible socio-economic impact. Indeed, how do we, for instance, determine with confidence that there was value and return on investment for Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda to host CHAN? What anticipated gain do we see in this institution or in these countries to host the upcoming AFCON, as my predecessor also mentioned? Because we really need to be able to do the correlation among all of these and to really see what is the place of the university should play to facilitate the nurturing of talent, to facilitate the creation or the development of leadership skills among those who will take the sport institution, and to be able to allow them to thrive. So as I conclude, I want to end with a quote that certainly resonates with this International Day, and it's a quote from Nelson Mandela when he says, "Sport has the power to change the world." And allow me to do a little twist to that and say, university sport has the power to change the world. And really, we are here to reflect together and to explore together the opportunities in sport, not just in academia, but how academia and academic institution can help sport thrive, the values of sports, and not just on campus, but in our whole society. So much so that we are able to build the mindset, the spirit, and the body that will help us as aspiring to the sustainable development and the peaceful coexistence we want to see around us. I thank you for your kind attention. Asante sana.
Energetic? That's the spirit. So my name is Vincent Mugai, representing Special Olympics Kenya on behalf of our CEO, Mr. William Maithia. So he was supposed to be around, but due to other engagements, so he's not able to be with us this morning. But that notwithstanding, Special Olympics is still here. Because for Special Olympics, we say it's not about an individual, it's a movement. So whether I'm here or not, so Special Olympics will still continue. First, I want to start by taking this chance to appreciate Kenyatta University through our able partner sports department. We have been having this partnership since 2008, if I'm not wrong. Who is Special Olympics then? So for Special Olympics, once we are a sports organization, an NGO, and also a registered federation within our country. Special Olympics has been in existence since 1978, so we're almost 50 years in our country. Across the world, Special Olympics was started in 1968. In Africa, so we were the first one in Africa to start Special Olympics. So we are a global movement, and what we do at Special Olympics, as we offer sports, and in this case, I can proudly say inclusive sports to persons with intellectual disabilities. I know we have so many disabilities. We have other sport federations, Paralympics, them they deal with the ones with physical disabilities. So we have deaf Olympics. Them they deal with the ones who are deaf. But for Special Olympics, our special niche is for the athletes with intellectual disabilities. The reason why we also participating in celebrating International Day of University Sports, our athletes may not get a chance to attend university. But through the partnership we have with KU, I can tell you, some of those learners, some of those athletes, they never went beyond class 8. Some of them, maybe they even never went to school. But they can proudly come and talk about that every Saturday they go to university. And you cannot convince them otherwise. Some of them know KU than us. They are able to access some of the facilities offered by the prestigious university, Kenyatta University. They are able to use the gym. They are able to use the swimming pool. They are able to use all the grounds. And for me, I can proudly say, if I was told to show me one place where there is inclusion, KU, I think, will be on my number one list. Yeah. So, which has happened since 2008, and allow me to say, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this, but I will still say it because I have the platform. They access Kenyatta University without paying a single cent. So, for us at Special Olympics, and not only Special Olympics Kenya, but Special Olympics across the world, if you mention Kenyatta University, even at Washington, they know there's a place, Special Olympics Kenya, trains place called Kenyatta University. Then, how do we then now bring inclusive sports? When you talk about inclusion, in every person's mind, it is where we include people with disabilities in our lives. But now for Special Olympics, as we do reverse inclusion, we don't include people with disability in your life. We include you in their life. Remember, there's a statement that says, there is nothing for us without us. You cannot be able to talk about rights of people with disability if you don't involve them. They know better. So that's why we say, instead of them going out of their way to understand you, why can't us who are able-bodied go out of our way to understand their needs, and not only understand their needs, we be empathetic enough and be able to facilitate them, not to help them, facilitate them to be able to achieve their best. And through that one, for Special Olympics since 1978, we have managed to enroll about 70,000 people with intellectual disability across the country. And since 1980-something, we have been attending the Special Olympics World Games. So Special Olympics World Games is equivalent of Olympics that happened in Paris last year. Our recent engagement was in 2023, the Summer Games that were held in Berlin, where Kenya took a delegation of about 92. Out of 92, 66 of them were athletes with intellectual disabilities. And when they went back, they were participating in 11 sport disciplines. So when they came back with 15 gold medals. Out of the 15 gold medals, 10 of them were individual sports and 5 of them were team sports. Also, they had 8 silver medals and 5 bronze medals. So for us, what we are trying to say through this, and one of the things why we are proud of KU is the students, the sports students, the sports science, the recreation, and the PE students within the departments are one of our volunteer coaches. Year in, year out. Even today, they are in the field. If you get a moment, pass by the field. Go and see people with intellectual disabilities if you have never seen them. They can play. They can do what you and me can be able to do. They can be able to swim. And actually, some of them are so good in sports. It's only that maybe academically, that's where the challenges are. But as far as the sport is concerned, these are people, if the inclusion is done in the right way, then you find they are going to thrive. Lastly, as we offer inclusion through something called unified sports. Before 1990s, Special Olympics was only dealing with people with intellectual disabilities. Anybody else without intellectual disability, either you are a coach or you are a fan in the stands. But now, since 1990s, we have a revolution that happened, the inclusive revolution. So through inclusive sports, what we are doing, people with intellectual disabilities and people without intellectual disabilities, they train together. Apart from training together, they go for competitions together. Let me just give an example in a nutshell. A volleyball team is made up of 6 players within the field. Out of the 6, 3 of them will have intellectual disabilities, 3 don't have any intellectual disability. They train together, then the coach will do the skill assessments, whether 3 or 4 of them. Then the difference between the highly skilled and the lowly skilled must not be more than 15%. Now that's a unified team that we form, and that team is as competitive as any other team. Such that when you are outside, if you are a fan, you are not supposed to tell the difference between someone with a disability and someone without disability as far as the skill execution is concerned. So that's what we are aiming for. And through sports, we use sports as a medium to achieve inclusion. And for Special Olympics, I can comfortably say that, yes, we are not yet there, but we are almost there. So with that one, I want to encourage you, invite you to come and join Special Olympics, especially for the students who are here. So we are going to have a session through Dr. Jane later, not today, but where we are going to come and tell you more about Special Olympics. So thank you so much for hosting and for hosting Special Olympics. Thank you.
Our keynote speaker, Dr. Hesbon Owila, the representative from UNESCO Regional Office, Mr. Ngandu Ngata, the chairperson of the department, Dr. Julia Githanga, and the representative from Special Olympics, Mr. Vincent Mungai. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I feel greatly honored to join you today in the celebration of the International Day of University Sport. And I'm also greatly honored to represent the Dean, the Executive Dean, School of Health Sciences in today's event. As you've heard, my name is Dr. James Ogutu. I come from the Department of Medical Microbiology and Parasitology in the School of Health Sciences, and also currently the Deputy Executive Dean, Graduate School. We'll delve directly into the Vice Chancellor's speech, but before I do, today brings a lot of nostalgia for me, because at one point of my life, I considered myself a sports person, to be specific, an athlete. It was not until I was in Form 3 that I discovered that I could seriously run. Those who see me today cannot believe it. But even my father then, when he was told how I used to run, did not believe it. He would have wanted to see me on the tracks running. The long story short, it was during the athletics games in our school, a small school in the village. During those days when we were in school, there was this day that I decided to take part in the, is it called 4 by 100 meters, this relay. And the person who was running with me, which was the third relay, I don't know how to call it, but the person who gives the last person the baton. This gentleman was a footballer, and he used to play fullback. And if you took the ball in front of him, he was very fast. He could, in a second, outrun you to take the ball back. However, he was given the baton right in front of me. But as the other students cheered on, I saw him remaining behind me. And the whole school was on fire. And that day, I discovered that I could seriously run. The sports came, the zonals, I was number 1. The district, I was number 1. The races I was running were all 400 meters. 400 meters flat, 400 meters relay, and the other one is 400 meters hurdles. I went with all the 3 of them to the provincials. When we reached the provincials, I met guys that had jerseys written Kenya. Branded Kenya. Those were professional athletes. I don't know how they were running with us then, but I was only able to get number 3 in one of the 400 meters flat, and that is where my journey with athletics ended. At the university level, I don't know what happened, but somehow I lost interest. But there are 2 things I did at the university level. I threw the discus and the javelin at the bachelor's degree level, at the master's degree level, and later on, when I had become an adult athlete at the PhD level, and that one for the PhD was very interesting because the first time I went to the field was a good stadium. It was in northern China. And when I threw the javelin, it broke in the air. Yes, it broke into 2, but it still went and hit on the right side. It hit the ground on the right side, and that was my best as well. And it was the first prize. So I remember when I joined you here, I joined you with a lot of nostalgia. I don't know where I will reactivate it, but Dr. Jane Kamau has been inducting me into sports research slowly, and I'm taking very keen interest. Let me go to the speech, because today is the Vice Chancellor's Day. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Hesbon Hansen Owila, research lead, Aga Khan University Graduate School, Media and Communications, representatives from NATCOM and the UNESCO Regional Office for East Africa, senior government officials present, members of the university management and Senate here present, colleagues, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great honor and privilege to warmly welcome you all to Kenyatta University for the celebration of the International Day of University Sport, IDES 2025. I sincerely thank UNESCO, NATCOM, faculty, students, and all stakeholders who have made this day possible. Your presence here reflects the value we collectively place in sport as a driver of education, inclusion, peace, and development. As many of you are aware, the International Day of University Sport was proclaimed by UNESCO in 2015 as an annual platform for universities worldwide to reflect on and advance the role of sport in higher education. Today, we gather not only to celebrate, but also to reaffirm our commitment to making sport safe, inclusive, and transformative for our students and communities. This year's theme, Safeguarding in University Sports, Advancing Safe, Inclusive, and Development-Driven Athletes, could not be more timely. One, it reminds us that sport must remain a safe space, free from harassment, violence, discrimination, and exploitation. Two, it emphasizes inclusivity, ensuring that men, women, and persons with disabilities participate equally in sport. Three, it calls on us to nurture athletes not just for competition, but as holistic individuals who contribute to community development and national progress. As the East African region prepares to co-host the AFCON 2027, universities like ours have a vital role to play. And these roles are in research and innovation for safe and sustainable sports practices. Also, in championing gender equality and safeguarding policies. Again, in preparing students and communities to embrace sport as a tool for peace, cohesion, and national pride. At Kenyatta University, we take much pride in being a leading institution in physical education, sports science, and inclusive sport development. Through Kenyatta University TV, our sports facilities, and community engagement, we aim to be a continental hub for knowledge sharing, talent development, and safe sport advocacy. I therefore urge, one, our students to embrace sport not just as play, but as a discipline that builds character.
To the Vice Chancellor's representative, Dr. Agutu, I hope I got it right, Ogutu, senior lecturers in the room, heads of departments, deans, professors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Before I go to the keynote address, let me just speak briefly about myself and why I think I am here. First, I am here to represent the Dean, Professor Nancy Buka, who is the Dean, Graduate School of Media and Communications at Aga Khan University. Aga Khan University has 3 academic entities and so many institutes. Not many people know that there's a school that deals with journalism and media studies. So we all know of the Medical College, School of Nursing and Midwifery, but you also have a graduate school. Now, probably you're wondering, why is a graduate school for media and communications involved in sports issues? Let me just give a brief background. So sometimes in 2023, we got support from Global Affairs Canada to run and implement a project titled Advancing Gender Equality in the Media and Civil Society. And that project has 5 outputs. It has 5 outputs. One is to help media houses establish gender desks. Number 2 is to build capacity through fellowships. Number 3 is to advance continuous professional development. And then number 4 is research, which I lead. And number 5 is training, because we are a training institution. So sometimes last year we did a study on state of women in the media. We invited Honorable Harriet Chigai, who is the President's advisor on gender equality, on women's rights, as the chief guest. And then she gave us the idea to focus on sports. And we ended up doing a study on sexual and gender-based violence in sports in East Africa. And I want to believe that's why Dr. Jane Kamau and the UNESCO team invited us. So my keynote address is drawn from this study. We launched it on 17th of July, if I'm not so wrong. And we are very happy because of the impact the study has had, the conversations it has generated, the invites we've received to speak about what we found. But as Hesbon Owila, I did not run. I cannot run to save myself. And I know there are 2 races that are very difficult if you're an athlete. The most difficult is 800 meters. And I'm sure you know that, the 2 laps. The second most difficult is 400 meters. So when you say that at the provincial level, you're doing 400 meters and you're doing extremely well, you ought to have been an athlete. You would have represented Kenya very well. But I've done sports. So I played football. Everywhere I played football, I think I was good enough, fairly good enough. The people I played with in high school played all the way up to Harambee Stars. And unlike him, who won medals and realized when he was competing people with jerseys written Kenya, me, I was picked out of the football pitch by our deputy principal, who thought football was not for me. But I pursued football, and I have my master's thesis was on football, the uses and gratifications of the televised English Premier League. All my assignments were on football because I loved football until I realized there is money in politics. So I went to politics. That's why my PhD research is in politics. But in football, I keep telling people I've been there, I have done that, and I have moved on. So for those of you who celebrated Chan and are looking forward to AFCON, probably you know, and I am not blowing my own trumpet, were it not for Hesbon Owila and my team of 4 other electoral board members and 5 in the secretariat, wouldn't have had Chan. Anyone who resonates with that? So sometimes last year, I was tasked with the responsibility of running the FKF elections. So the elections, I'm the one who gave Hussein Mohammed and Mariga the certificate that they won the election. And I pride myself as among the few Kenyans who've presided over free, fair, transparent, credible, and verifiable elections. Today, if you want to know who won in Migori County, where I come from, you will get all the details. But it was not easy. If you know football and football politics, it was not easy. But I finished the election and resigned immediately because my call is teaching and not football politics. So back to, that is the brief interaction I've had with football, and I hope Chan will be here. They don't like us anymore because the team that put us in office did not win. And the team that is in office thinks that we were favoring the other team. But we were not interested in favoring people. We just did an election and moved on. So back to the speech, that it borrows heavily from our research. So at some point, I will just speak about what those findings are. And because this is a speech by my boss, let me do what she would have done. The Vice Chancellor representative who is here, representatives from UNESCO, distinguished academicians, dear students, esteemed colleagues, fellow advocates for safe and inclusive sports. Today, as we gather to celebrate International University Sports Day, we must also confront a sobering reality. While sports is a space of joy, discipline, and excellence, our study also shows that it has become, for too many women and girls, a site of fear, exploitation, and violence. Recent data from across East Africa, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, paints a troubling picture. The prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence in sports is alarmingly high at 62% across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. In Kenya, it is even worse because in 2022 it was at 43, but in 2024-2025, our data shows that it was at staggering 69% of women who reported experiencing sexual and gender-based violence. This is not just statistics. This is a crisis that we must confront and create safe spaces for women and girls in sports. Equally troubling is the perception of vulnerability. In Kenya, nearly 9 in 10 of the athletes, the administrators, football managers, and coaches that we interviewed believe that 89% of female athletes are more vulnerable to sexual and gender-based violence. This is a clarion call. We must create safe spaces and institutionalize safeguarding measures in every sporting environment, whether it is a club, sports offices, schools, or in the field. Our deeper analysis reveals a painful pattern, extremely painful, that the longer women remain in sports, the more likely they are to experience abuse. Early career athletes often underreport, not because they are spared, but because they lack the knowledge or the confidence to identify, name, and label the abuse. I grew up in Kapsabet in Nandi County when I was in campus, and this is my first time in KU. That's why I got lost. And my sincere apologies for showing up late. It's a beautiful university. I was in a very small university called Maseno University. And you can imagine, so Maseno, back when I was in campus and KU the way it is. So because of my formative years in Kapsabet, I wanted to go back and experience Kapsabet. So I went and did my internship in Kapsabet town.
All right, so much has been happening this morning, and it's the highlight of the conversations this morning was money and relationships. I know you've had so many questions, which probably we may not have tackled them. So always communicate with us on the social media platform so that the next time we're having such a conversation, we may be able to address them and hear from the experts. So if you missed any bit of that, you can always go back and take a look at that. We've also had a look at Kenyatta University's achievements in sports, in music, and in career development, that is in leadership. So all those conversations and interviews and presentations have been happening on your screens for the last 2 hours, 45 minutes or so. And at this point, I just want us to take a quick look at the newspaper. This will be really quick, not according to what we're always doing here on the show, but today I just want to take a quick brief look on each newspaper that you're having this morning. And I will begin by the Daily Nation, which has the biggest headline, given their teachers, police face SHA medical crisis. This is in relation to the report given by RUFA that SHA is not working, and the proposed plan to shift the insurance cover for teachers and police officers from other insurance companies to SHA imegonga mwamba. So at this point, RUFA says that if this happens, that the insurance are shifted to SHA, they will not be able to get services, especially from private hospitals. And this is because they say SHA is not working, a message that is contradicting to what the Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale says, that SHA is working, and often accusing private health facilities of fraudulent activities in the country. And this is backed by a situation where the public is required to get cash from their pocket to pay for services. That means that there is a problem with SHA. On this show and every show, newspaper review every morning on Monday and Tuesday, we're always telling you different opinions concerning SHA. And right now we have what RUFA says, that SHA is not working. So probably the way they say lisemwalo lipo kama lipo laja, probably this might be true, because that story is also given prominence on the Standard, and it's on page 2. On the Daily Nation, it's also on page 2. And it says that 33 billion is the amount private hospitals are owed by this state for treating Kenyans under the defunct NHIF scheme. So remember, we had shifted from NHIF to SHA, and right now there's so much pending bills that are yet to be paid to the health facilities. Still, that story, you can find further details on page 2 of the Daily Nation and page 2 of the Standard. Still on the Daily Nation, matters politics. We have Raila, no deal on Ruto re-election bid. And this is in relation to a meeting that was held yesterday where where ODM leader Raila Odinga said, we have not passed any resolution as a party to say how we are going into the elections of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things that have not been discussed. Who told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Just hints. Remember, on this show also, we've kept on saying, or the guests have kept on saying rather, that the ODM party will present a candidate. ODM party will have a candidate. Remember when we were having Sifuna talking, tukisema yeye ni kama a barking dog. Apparently, he's not so of a barking dog, but rather a spokesperson of the government. So whatever is happening in politics, remember what we always say, that in politics, there is no coincidence in politics. So this is something that we saw it coming. Those who are saying that Raila is going to be supporting the president, this man is just a man who knows how to play his cards when it comes to each government, knowing when to reap and when not to reap. And at this point, as ODM party marks 20 years of existence in the country, they're strengthening their muscles as a party, probably to have a say in the next government, or to be the ones to say in the next government. So that is on politics. On the Daily Nation, that story is on page 4 and 5. And the dilemma on the Daily Nation, they're saying that as ODM marks the 20th anniversary, the party that has been the face of opposition finds itself at a crossroads owing to a partnership agreement with the ruling party and the appointment of 5 members of President Ruto's cabinet. The deal has torn the party into 2 factions for and against Ruto's re-election, prompting the ODM leader Raila Odinga to declare that his outfit has not resolved to back the incumbent and asking members to cease premature campaigns. That story is also given prominence on the Star, where the Star says, is Raila planning to run against Ruto? That story is also on page 4 and 5 of the Star. And the Star saying that veteran politician is busy rebuilding 20-year-old party and recruiting new members as preparations for 2027 polls begin to take shape. So that is on matters politics. And on matters security, Ruto decries Kenyan police fighting gangs in Haiti with little aid. And this is President Ruto's, he's currently in the United States for the UNGA conference. And the Daily Nation says President criticizes the international community, citing inadequate resources for the mission, including second-hand armored vehicles that frequently broke down. And I just have a question, because before this happened, as Kenyans, we were really opposing it. If you remember that time, it was a real discussion on why are our police officers going to Haiti. So I don't know if the dues were not paid or what happened. And now we are seeing a lot of complaints. Is it the Trump factor? Because remember, when this deal was signed, Trump was not there. And Trump said, we are going to fight our wars, not other people's wars. And now it is biting back at us, probably for not listening to Kenyans, or probably for being ignorant of the consequences or the weight of the matter. So that is on security with regards to the president. The Standard, the Bold newspaper, today has a headline bringing back the story of Wanjiru, Agnes Wanjiru, the 21 who was slain in 2012. And this time round, they have given us the face of the person who allegedly committed the murder. And they're saying that today we reveal the face of the British soldier whose extradition from the United Kingdom has been ordered by Kenya High Court. He is accused of robbing a 5-month-old baby of a mother, a family of their daughter, and an Anyuki community of a young woman who lost her life at just 21. Agnes Wanjiru's spirit still cries for justice, and a major obstacle is the lengthy UK extradition process that is tied up to courts and the Secretary of State, but the first step lies with Kenya's Director of Public Prosecution. What you need to know about this case is, for anything to happen in this case, so far it's been around 13 years since this happened, and for anything to happen, for this case to move forward, there needs to be, number one, goodwill between the two states, that's the United Kingdom and Kenya. There needs to be goodwill, because if we all know that all soldiers who are coming to Kenya from the United Kingdom, they have immunity of our offenses. And if this happens, if there is goodwill, there is the second part, the icebreaker that needs to be broken again, which is the Kenyan government or the Kenyan judicial system needs to present convincing proof that this offense really happened. And the judge in charge of the case in the United Kingdom needs to be convinced that it really happened for the extradition process to be okayed. But if that happens also, that is not the end of it, because the Secretary of State can say no or yes. And it leans towards saying no if the trial may end up to a death sentence. So we are not out of the woods yet, because it's dealing with the two judicial systems where the Kenyan government presents evidence, the other government goes through the evidence. If it's sufficient and convincing, they then okay the extradition, and the Secretary of State is the one who needs to okay whether the suspect should be coming to Kenya for the trial or not. But that is not just the end of it. If that happens, this will be the first case of its kind where a United Kingdom soldier is extradited and probably prosecuted. It will be the first one of its kind to ever happen. Business people have been extradited from the United Kingdom, but not once have we seen a soldier who is extradited. So it will be one of its kind to ever happen, and it will take years. So it has already taken years to bring the evidence, but then for this to happen, it will probably take more years, because with the presentation of strong evidence, Kenyan prosecution must present strong evidence that meets UK legal standards for extradition. Even if the judge is convinced, the Secretary of State may agree or refuse to order an extradition. So we are not yet out of the woods. We have the face, and the man is called Robert Parkish, and he was a war medic who served with the British soldiers. And that story, you can follow up that story on pages on page 4 rather, on the Standard. So those are the stories that are given prominence on the newspaper. You can always follow up with other stories on the newspapers by getting a copy. So that has been our Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday, on this 23rd day of September 2025. Thank you so much for being with us for the last 3 hours or so, and for keeping the conversation rolling. We can never do this without you. So until next time, it's goodbye from us.
No apologies. 2020 vision is never been so clear. Tough times teach lessons.